Sucker.
Oh, honey, what'd you do to me?
You smash with devastation and you lead me on and on. Oh, creamy deluxe, you're the cream of the crop. Frosting with butter.
You knocked my socks off.
You sweet talker, Betty Crocker.
At this point in our show on Is Hollywood Selling More to Kids, some people may be asking, oh, come on, you guys, these are only movies. You eat your popcorn, you cheer the good guy, boo the bad guy, you leave the theater, you buy your kid a toy. What's the big deal? It's only a movie. They didn't hurt me when I was growing up. Good question. I came up with them myself. Well, recently I interviewed Dr. Elva Poznansky, a respected child psychiatrist in Chicago, who has seen Rambo and has talked to many of her young patients about the film, and also to her professional colleagues and the kids that they're seeing about the film, and they're all talking about the film. First, we began with the issue of whether television and films have any influence at all on children.
I follow the view that television does influence behavior. I don't think it does it on a one-to-one kind of basis, but I think that the media has a very distinct effect on human behavior, and it may take a period of time for it to show itself, but it does.
Rambo, what most people call hell, he calls home.
You can produce aggressive behavior in children by playing them aggressive movies and then following sequentially what they do afterwards in terms of their own behavior.
So what you're saying is that people will change their behavior, youngsters particularly, will change their behavior by seeing Rambo and also by listening to all the coverage of Rambo, because the coverage of Rambo and the Rambo phenomenon has been enormous.
Yeah, but they will change their behavior if they're prone to do that in the first place.
I see.
You're not going to get a child who's normally sitting quiet, never is aggressive, to then all of a sudden become something terribly different. What you do is you subtly change the behavior of kids that are already prone in that direction.
Joined Army, 6 June 69. Accepted Special Forces. Helicopter and language qualified. Expert in light weapons and guerrilla warfare.
We could be creating lots of little Rambos in the world, is that what you're saying?
Well, yes and no. To some extent, Rambo is seen as a bit as a caricature. He's not seen as a real person. And that kind of dehumanization, I think, is kind of familiar with any kind of highly aggressive topic. But even though it's almost a caricature, cartoon-like, almost, kids will follow it. And the other message is, you know, we were talking earlier, is that it makes war glamorous. And I'm seeing a re-emergence of that.
Now, I suppose you just have to take my word for it that Dr. Poznansky is not a kook or a bleeding heart. I think that was obvious from the intelligence of her remarks. She recently represented, you might be interested, the United States at a World Health Organization conference in the Far East, and she is head of the child psychiatry section of one of Chicago's leading hospitals, the Rush Presbyterian St. Luke's Medical Center. And the point that she made that struck home with me the most is that these films are setting up combat as idealized male behavior, that blowing people away, particularly foreigners, is the essence of manliness. And this message, she reports, is being received by children.
So in other words, from what she told you, the kids that I talked to in the toy department, they said, oh, no, I don't want to kill anyone. This is just a game. But maybe they were getting a subliminal message.
It's not subliminal.
When you grow up, you do have to act in this way in order to be a man and to have a man's responsibility.
This is what men do, is replacing, for all the other images, she felt it was some kind of reaction to some of the more, if you will, feminizing aspects that have been going on, of the portrayal of men, the more sensitive men in the movies, like maybe Kramer versus Kramer, where Dustin Hoffman is being warm to his child, or if Dustin Hoffman and Tootsie learning the tender side, the woman's side again. But these are other movie images, he's saying now, that are coming on strong, saying, war, that's where you prove you really are a man.
And one of the funny things is, of course, that to the degree that movies that are made for adults trickle down to kids, isn't it funny it's always the bad ones that trickle down? There aren't a lot of kids going to see Kramer versus Kramer or Tootsie or seeing them at home on television or cassette, but there were a lot of kids who can't wait to see Rambo if they haven't already.
And they're, again, on the toy aspect, They're not marketing Tootsie Dolls, and they're not marketing Kramer versus Kramer advertising executives.
Three-piece suits, right. Next at the movies, we take a look at 3 different kinds of war images: realistic Hollywood war movies, Rambo-style war movies, and real-life documentary footage from the Vietnam War itself.